series. So now, the danger of discussing AI and elections only in abstract terms is that the threat can sound distant, technical, futuristic, even exaggerated. But the report we're examining lays out 5 concrete scenarios for next year's elections in the country, each based on precedents that have either occurred elsewhere or already shown partial warnings in Nigeria. One is an AI-generated voice note of a major candidate making inflammatory ethnic or religious remarks released just days before voting. Too late for an effective correction. Another is a deep fake of an electoral or security official announcing false results or a fabricated emergency. Now, this third is a fake endorsement by a respected religious leader. And then there's the fourth, which involved targeted voice messages giving voters false info about polling times, locations, or eligibility. Guess what the fifth is about? This may be the most corrosive of all, the liar's dividend, where authentic evidence of misconduct is dismissed as AI-generated, allowing the guilty escape accountability by attacking reality itself.
Yes.
Ikem said, Effiong is still with us. He's managing partner and head of research for SBM Intelligence. So, Ikem, before we look at the scenarios, Nigeria is already entering elections with the deep polarization and the utter suspicion of institutions. So, does AI misinformation become more dangerous in a society where many citizens are already predisposed to distrusting INEC, government agencies? What are we dealing with?
The short answer is yes, right? According to our wider voter sentiment tracker, something like 69% of Nigerians do not trust INEC's capability to deliver a free.
How much?
I think it's higher.
Well, that's all the interview.
Yes, it's true.
It's true. There's that. But even if you look at anecdotal evidence from 2023 and all of that, a lot of voters concentrated their eye on INEC, especially with the failure of BVAS and electronic transmission to deliver on all of the promise that that was the basis of it being sold to Nigerians. So in that environment, what AI really does is that AI supercharges everyone's suspicion and terror.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, in that sense. And because there will always be rogue actors. There will be people who will deploy these tools, right, in deviant ways. If a deep fake involving INEC, for example, comes up either in the lead up to the elections or election day, or just shortly after, people will be more inclined to believe those. We've seen from the data that people are less likely to fact check what their beliefs already predispose them
Echo
to.
chambers.
Right? Yes. So in an environment where people don't trust the political actors, the political umpires, the fundamental framework of the system, right? You can have well-funded, well-clustered actors who will latch on those insecurities and use AI to just supercharge them. There's anecdotal evidence that well-funded actors, right, helped amplify the rage that South Africans felt towards migrants, for example. There is very deep use of AI and deepfake imagery to amplify anti-Western talking points, especially with respect to, with respect to the Sahel, with respect to Mali, with respect to Niger. The tools already exist. They've already been deployed in non-election scenarios, a lot of them outside of Nigeria.
So why are you so calm? I don't get it. This thing you're talking about is deep. It's serious. And it's like preparing for war. But you are just doing as if it's not normal.
Let me add some context from the report, because our producers did a bunch of homework on that. So who makes Nigeria's political misinformation? They actually have names, and I love the fact that the report actually saw this. So they have data boys. Yeah. These are covert social media operatives working across political parties who promote, rehabilitate, and sustain the image of political leaders. There's the WhatsApp broadcast group coordinators, which is what makes WhatsApp so dangerous. Telegram. They are foot soldiers. They manage networks of broadcast groups for coordinated disinformation campaigns. You have alternative online news outlets, and God, everybody is not a journalist. You're a blogger, you're not a journalist. And I think that the Nigerian audience has to be able to make the distinction. But I also know that trust in traditional media is also down. It's a problem. Then you have the social media influencers. Then you have the thought leaders and offline opinion shapers like religious leaders, traditional rulers, community figures who can also validate and amplify some of this content. So that leads me to my question. So who should we be worried about the most? Is it the sophisticated foreign actor? Is it the political parties who are going to deploy all their data boys and WhatsApp group and all that stuff? Is it the anonymous networks, the paid influencers? Or is it even the ordinary citizen who unknowingly forwards false information because you're in an echo chamber? You're in a group of everybody who thinks like you, sees like you, breathes like you. So when somebody drops something, you automatically assume that that thing is true. Who is the biggest concern and where is the greatest vulnerability?
I would be more worried about the sophisticated. I would say be worried about everyone. Yeah, but I'll be particularly worried about the sophisticated networks that are churning out this content because they are the source points. Yeah. Every other actor in that 5-point matrix that we've highlighted, right, are essentially distributors and distribution nodes. The sophisticated networks that are churning out this content, that are creating these images, that are creating the fake WhatsApp voice notes and all of those things, those are the people to be concerned about. But the thing is, from the perspective of the news central viewer, there's very little you can do about that. So that's why it makes sense to be skeptical about everyone and anyone, right? It's if you approach this discourse from the standpoint of everything could legitimately be fake until proven otherwise, then that gives you something of a buffer, right, in terms of having a framework for knowing how to discriminate between what is legitimate and authentic and otherwise. And especially for younger social media consumers, because that's where sort of like the liar's dividend, sort of...
It's crying foul. It's basically Peter crying wolf.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for younger social media users, because they are digital natives, there's a sense that they are more digitally literate. According to our findings, it's the over 50-year-olds that are actually more concerned about AI than much younger voters, especially the 18 to 29 brackets, right? Yeah, and so. Those younger voters may overestimate their ability to distinguish between AI-generated content, right, and otherwise. Now, this is not to say that all AI-generated content is bad or fake or false, right? Yeah, there is a space where legitimate campaigners, advertisers can deploy artificial intelligence, even media, to supercharge the work that they do. But the key distinction markers is to, one, recognize that this is obviously AI-generated content as against, content that isn't AI-generated content, and then understanding the context. And that requires more broad-based media literacy, more broad-based political literacy, and I'm not certain that we're seeing a lot of that political
Do we even have time
education.
for that? January is where?
Nigerians, sometimes we have to just, zone into some, because Catherine did mention a couple, like 5 different scenarios.
Yeah.
Which of these scenarios is, the most likely? One, the AI-generated voice note of maybe a major candidate making inflammatory ethnic or religious remarks, or a deepfake of an electoral or security officials announcing false results, or a fabricated agency. A third fake voice message, that one is even so dangerous, where voice message giving voters false information about polling times, locations, or eligibility. And the fifth, which she said might be the worst, where authentic evidence of misconduct is dismissed. Which of these scenarios, because all of them are important, but towards these political times, which do you think is the most dangerous that we should focus?
Yeah, so it will depend on where we are in the election cycle. I would be particularly concerned about the fake endorsements and also fake voice notes. I don't know if this has been your experience, but anecdotally, I've noticed that the amount of foreign African phone calls that I am getting, a lot of which turn out to be robocalls,
Yeah.
whether it's from Liberia or Sierra Leone
Yes.
or Equatorial Guinea,
Yeah.
right, has really spiked up, right? And I think in the lead up to the elections, we'll see a lot more of those. You would see people who aren't, because WhatsApp now has, very little verification, right, checks or markers. I know now they've come out with the username policy, which they would be deploying.
Is that good?
Very soon. It has its pros and cons.
But in the context of...
Yes, but in the context of, see, a lot of our phone numbers exist in vast digital repositories.
Yeah.
A lot of the leaks of personal information that we've seen out there include a lot of phone numbers, a lot of whom, right, are phone numbers of Nigerians, right, and other Africans. So a lot of data brokers already have access to your phone numbers. That's why you'd see suspicious messages of people sending you messages on WhatsApp with a hi or hello, and you don't have their number saved. You don't know them from
I never even knew that. That's
a phone number from
when your phone would just give you Equatorial Guinea.
Exactly.
I didn't know it was something. I just don't pick, or I would see suspected spam. I won't just touch it.
So all of those are data brokers who have sold the personal information of a lot of Nigerians to a lot of these farmers, and they basically do, what is called like a blunt. They have a blunt force strategy where they make mass number of robocalls
and persons who are vulnerable and will fall.
Exactly, and all of that, and then they pick up on those. I'll be more concerned about those in the lead up to the elections. Maybe a little less concerned about, say, people trying to impersonate party officials or INEC, but those could happen a lot more closer to
But do you think some of those might also be regionally based? Because there are varying responses across the region to certain things when elections come into play.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We know of substantial content and digital content farms that are based in Ghana, in parts of Nigeria as well. So a lot of their strategies are highly personalized and highly regionalized, right, as well. So even if you get suspicious +234 numbers or +233 numbers, your guard should be. I think the larger lesson for the Nigerian voter, or if quite frankly, the Nigerian online consumer, right, is just to be highly suspicious of things that you haven't verified, you haven't fact-checked yourself, or people trying to reach out to you from outside your networks, people that you haven't.
We're already such a low-trust society. I feel it's going to be worsened with this election. But because of time, very quickly, Ekeme said, if you had the attention of INEC, the National Assembly, NIDA, which I'm side-eyeing currently, even the major technology platforms and Nigeria's leading civil society organizations today, very quickly, what are 3 things that must happen first, not eventually, but before the 2027 election? And I'm side-eyeing the technology platforms as well, because I've not forgotten Facebook and the Rohingya Myanmar massacres and crisis. What's the other one that happened, I think, 2019, academia, the interference that they said happened in the election involving Jonathan, one company, something academic, something...
Cambridge Analytica.
Yes, thank you. I've not forgotten that as well. So we see the antecedents, but the people who are responsible for making sure it doesn't happen or trying to reduce it as much as possible, what are the 3 very quick things that must happen before the elections?
Well, I think we need to scale up our fact-checking capabilities. We do have some in the country. We have a national fact-checking center. We have Dubawa, which is an independent conclave, right, of civil society fact-checking conclaves. But a lot of their capabilities, 1, is generally enclosed, but 2, and perhaps more critically, their fact-checking capabilities exist only in English, and we're concerned about Nigerian language deep fakes, right? AI is now so good. There's very good Yoruba, very good Hausa, very good Igbo language content, right, that is out there. A lot of the fact-checking capabilities that we have currently in the country only exist in English. We need to scale that up to include the major Nigerian languages. Secondly, none of our laws or our regulations, and this is where organizations like it that come into play, have a deepfake accountability clause or a deepfake accountability management mechanism, right, of some kind, where you can actually foist legal liability on known actors who are known to create, right, this content. Everyone can claim plausible deniability to say, I saw this on X, I saw this on TikTok, and I mainly reshared, or it was something that my mom or some trusted member sent to me. So legislating a deepfake accountability clause will be critical. Now, the incentives around that are a bit skewed because a lot of people will be deploying these things.
They benefit from, they mistrust, distrust, all of it.
So there will be that. Thirdly, it would help if INEC has AI detection guidelines. Right now, INEC has actually invested in, and I see Toulouse skepticism is
How
many weeks away are we from election and we're just having this conversation?
But here's the thing, INEC recognizes that this is an issue. They've organized seminars around this already. They're already doing.
How many people attended this seminar?
That's the question. And that's the issue.
How many people?
And then perhaps more critically, INEC is also quite camera shy. INEC should come on platforms.
Why would they be camera shy? Why do you want to take them to task?
Yeah, and talk about these things because a lot of this is just the absence of knowledge, right? It was in putting together this report that even we ourselves as researchers and people who watch Nigeria for a living discovered that some of these mechanisms already exist. They are just not talked about. INEC also needs to do a fair amount of public education videos, in some cases using artificial intelligence just to illustrate what this tool can be used for good.
INEC doesn't have it in them. It's like the NOA. There are some agencies that
Catherine, that's
really, there's some agencies
but it has actually become
struggle.
Like that, the INEC now. They're not at the forefront.
I even think that there is a problem in Nigeria amongst all the agencies. Is disseminating of information. It's either they don't know how to disseminate information or they allow other people disseminate information on their behalf and they're not doing it the right way. They leave everything to speculation, and when speculation happens, misinformation will thrive. And now that the elections are upon us, they cannot tell me that they have not been able to look at previous election cycles and begin to reorganize themselves with the new things that are happening now. At least the last election, I will not say that AI was so prevalent. So what are their researchers doing? To be able to, the last time that we did election, we were still grappling with issues of accessibility. In these times, that some cars cannot pass through some areas, they had to use boats. That's what we're grappling with, and AI is too forward. It's like we're living in the future. Don't you think that they are coming to this table too late?
You have 30 seconds on that.
They are, and they're fundamentally reactive, and which is why I think the final point is, the media. Let's do a lot more public education. I think at this point, the prevalence of AI is such that we should have whole segments on shows where we go, okay, spot the fake or something like that, just to educate.
Put it together and we'll do it.
Train people.
I'll challenge you and Cheta to put it together and come on the show ahead of the elections.
I like homeworks and assignments.
It feels like it's not fair.
We'll probably take that off.
It feels like it's sending me. And Kevin said, thank you so much for sounding the alarm. We're not finished with this conversation because what we can do is to let people know that these things are out there and empower them. So we will be continuing this conversation. He has homework now. We also hope to see the head of Africa Check in Nigeria with us, also looking at fake news and the 2027 elections. And perhaps this is where this conversation is most important to end, not with panic, but with responsibility. Because democracy depends on more than ballots, polling units, and election results. It depends on citizens having access to information they can trust. And it depends on evidence still meaning something. And it depends on our ability to disagree about politics without losing our grip on reality itself. So with what, I need to go back to the top so you guys will hear what it was, how many days are left. So with 194 days, 27 weeks that is, and 5 days left to Nigeria's presidential elections, we all have a lot of work to do. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye for now.
Oh yeah, we do. And I think